Morty, can you hear me? Morty, can you hear me? Hey, Morty, can you hear me?
Multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Marvel Monday. We were gone for a week, but now we are back. So, joining me today, we got, of course, Mr. Joestar. Why won't you say hi?
Hey, everybody. Johnny Joestar here, right back in this wonderful team, and can't wait to talk about all these cool little things for today. Can't wait.
Definitely. And then coming with us as well, we have Miss Cap. How are you today?
I'm doing all right today. I'm excited for today's topics and getting right into this.
Oh yeah, definitely. Of course, on our week off, we had like pretty big stuff like the Thor thing coming out, and an okay episode of Moon Knight. But let's get back to the introductions. Of course, we have my good friend Mr. Slucius XL back with us.
Hello. How are you all doing?
Pretty good. And last but not least, we have returning with us, since he couldn't make it the week before, Mr. JT. What's up, JT?
I'm so happy to be back. I help do all the topics for this episode. But I think we should do this more often. Like after this episode, do some more topics about what we want to talk about. But dude, I'm so excited for this week. It's gonna be amazing.
If you're excited for this week, just wait till next week, man. Next week, we're gonna have, of course, our thing, and then on Wednesday we have the ending of Moon Knight, and the day after we have Doctor Strange coming out.
Oh yeah.
So it's
yeah.
gonna be
Oh my
quite
gosh.
hectic. We're gonna have a lot to talk about the week after. Maybe we could try to do an like impromptu live review after the movie, like maybe around like the movie's at what, 7, so, or 6? I think it might have been 6. So we'll probably be home by like 8 or something. We'll see if we have time to do a live like initial thoughts on it. But let's get things rolling, because we got quite a lot to cover today. So let's come on and move on over to of course the cage match. We had Slucius last time recommend that we do Morbius pitted up with Werewolf by Night. So let's just go over there in just a second.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Marvel Mondays Fight Night. Today we have two fearsome opponents. On the left corner, coming in at 5'10" and 170 pounds, we have the bloodthirsty, the vicious Morbius, the living vampire. And on the right corner, we have, coming in at 6'8" and whooping 300 pounds, we have the savage, the animalistic Werewolf by Night. Let the fight begin!
That's insane.
There you go.
Jesus.
I don't know if you guys were able to
That's
take a
really
look at the
good.
stats.
That's really good.
That was
All right.
good.
That's good, yeah.
It was a pain in the ass to make, though, because my settings, my microphone and such was not working when I wanted it to, and it was doing like the reverb whenever I didn't want it to do. So I spent like 3 hours just trying to get my microphone to work like I wanted to. But anyways, back to the fight night. Of course, like you guys saw right there, we had Werewolf by Midnight versus what's his name, Morbius. So who is going to go first? Actually, no, it's your guys, Slucius. So I'll have you go ahead and be the one who talks about it first. So go on.
For the announcement thing, you should have just had Bruce Campbell from Spider-Man 1.
That was my
And that's it.
inspiration. That was my
Yeah,
inspiration.
you should have.
Honestly, I would have gotten a little bit more into it, but my wife was, since she couldn't hear like the reverb and such, she just walked in the room and it's like, what the hell are you doing? You sound stupid. And I'm like, it's because you don't have the effect. You got to have the effect, or else I do sound like a weirdo. Just wanting to be.
How about this? How about we scratch out Morbius, so we just have a Bone Crusher. A Bone Crusher. Oh, yeah. I got you in the
Honestly-
ring for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of hang time.
Honestly, that's probably a better fight.
That's probably a better pitch up.
Because all those
Him fighting a werewolf
All-
there is
all those
is
numbers that
something
I
I wanna
got,
see.
like the speed, the skill, the energy, strength, durability, and intelligence, I got those all from like a Marvel Encyclopedia themselves type of thing, where they have a bunch of their stats. And so we have Werewolf by Night. He has a skill 5, while Morbius has skills of 4. Speed, they're both even. That's 4. Energy, they're both at 3. Strength goes the edge to Werewolf by Night with 5 versus 4. Durability, they're both at 5. And then intelligence, Morbius is a little bit more intelligence with 4 versus 3. But I'll let you get to it.
Fun fact here, they're actually created by the same guy, which I think his name was Roy Thomas. And he liked a whole bunch of like classic movie monsters like Wolfman and Dracula, obviously, for Morbius and Werewolf by Night. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's really neat.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they've survived the time, because I think there was a Werewolf by Night comic that came out, like a newer run that came out 2020 or 2021, I believe. So I'm glad
I think so. Yeah.
I'm glad that even though those were created for like the old monster movies back in the day, they're still kind of kicking and finding new ways to keep them around.
Which is cool because like he's just kind of a normal werewolf, really, just with a Marvel nameplate just slapped to it. But yeah, he's pretty much a normal werewolf.
Okay.
Well, the only thing with him is that he's got like a family lineage that were werewolves, his father, so it's passed on to him.
Okay, so what are your arguments on who would win and why?
So, who would win? Let's give it to our boy Morbius. He needs a W after the stink fest that came out as of late. I believe in second chances. The boy needs to come back, and he's actually a lot cooler than how the movie portrays him to be. So, yes, more or less, he's just a vampire, but not really like 100% vampire. It's more like a kind of a pseudo vampire. Like he can't shapeshift. I don't think he has like mind control abilities, but obviously like he has the savageness of a vampire. He can drink blood. Weaknesses are that like still like sunlight hurts him and stuff like that, but no, he cannot control bats like how he does in the movie, which was stupid.
All right. Well, I didn't know he did that in the movie. I'll watch it eventually, but I'm in no hurry to do so. But why would you think Werewolf would not pit so well against them? What, like you say the strengths of Morbius, but what would be some of the weaknesses for Werewolf that would help Morbius get the edge?
Well, I think he can outsmart the beast.
That is true. He did have a whole whopping point more than a whopping point than Werewolf. But Werewolf does have like a bit more strength and skill and
Werewolf would have a bit more strength. Like if he pitted him against a corner, then yeah, he would be torn apart. But out in the open, I think maybe Morbius could use his surroundings like to his advantage. Obviously, he would analyze the situation first, while Werewolf is just like purely just all out for blood. Like there's no reasoning with him. He's animalistic. Morbius, still has that intellect. So when they still got that big brain, big doctor brain. So
That's
I think
true.
he would analyze like all the like the situation and think ahead and come up with some creative ways to bring him down.
That makes sense. All right, so we got 1 point towards Morbius, and now let's move over to Mr. JT next. Mr. JT, your case?
Yes. So after doing a lot of researching regarding Morbius and Werewolf by Night, I would have to choose Morbius for one because he's a scientist, and so he is intelligent, and also the weaknesses of a Werewolf by Night is silver, and so maybe like when they're fighting, and Morbius might know this, he might just take out a piece of silver and kind of kill him that way. So that's one thing, and plus, he has wings so he can fly around. He has super speed, super strength. I mean, they both have healing factors, but also I know that I was doing some research. He can memorize. I mean, he can hypnotize his victims, so maybe he can use that to his advantage and trying to force Werewolf by Night to do something that he doesn't want to do. And but then again, if they're finding the full moon and it's nice and sunny and it's cloudy, then Werewolf by Night will turn to a normal person, so Morbius might have the edge in that. So I will go with Morbius for that reason.
Man, that's a pretty strong case, man. You brought it.
Yes, I did.
So that is 2 for Morbius right now. And we'll go ahead and let's see, Mr. Joe Star, what do you think?
Okay, well, I actually agreed with that. Like, I did my homework a little bit, and JC already said basically what I have already researched. So as far as it goes, like, yeah, I was kind of up the ante on Morbius just because of the fact that he also has like the hypnosis thing. So definitely can do that, and about the whole thing about werewolf by night. So if he's just like in the daylight, like, I mean, he's kind of screwed. But I mean, Morbius isn't, he can't be hurt by the sun. So I mean, he could technically attack him in the daytime and be like, screw this guy. So but yeah, I mean, just the stats of course, yeah, they have both, superhuman strength, speed,
Yeah, they're both
accelerated
pretty
healing factor, all that good
They're pretty
jazz.
evenly matched, honestly.
But I will say another thing though is that I mean, Morbius can also fly, and I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he could definitely use that to his advantage in like several ways. But yeah, like, I mean, I'm gonna give this one to Morbius.
All right, so far it's unanimous Morbius. Let's see if Miss Cap could change the overall scoring board and at least give 1 point to Werewolf, or if it'll just be a landslide in the favor of Morbius.
Well, if I've had a lot of thinking and I've done some research, and honestly, we got to go 4 for 4. I got to go with Morbius. Everybody's put on some really good points, which I would definitely agree with. The only thing, like, a setback, I think, would be is that, like, with Morbius, he has to, like, with his enhanced and supernatural abilities, he has to continually drink blood, which I think could be also a disadvantage. But overall, I think if he's had the blood and and they're in a fresh fight, I think he definitely would have all the advantages that everybody else has said. I don't want to really repeat it because everybody has honestly put their good points, but I just want to point out just a little bit of disadvantage that he does have.
Yeah.
That Werewolf does have by Morbius, but I have to go with Morbius on the way.
Okay. Yeah. All right, man. So it looks like the werewolf was slain. I thought maybe someone would have been like, werewolf is like a whole foot or two more.
Like, as much as I like werewolves, let's just give our boy the W here because he's had it rough. He's had it pretty rough. So
yeah,
let's give him a win.
Yeah.
But what's kind of funny though, in the movie though, like, he like eats people, but then like I still remember from like the old 90s like Spider-Man cartoon where he had like those little suction cups in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, man, like, it would be really terrible, like, to even just shake his hand. And I don't know if like the wolf guy would be like stupid enough to just be like, all right, good match, let's do this. And then like you just shake hands and he just sucks him completely dry.
All blood.
All right. So I was just the moderator in this case. Me personally, you guys brought some good points. I mean, I would have just on the weight class, because Werewolf by Night is like 300 pounds and the other guy's like 170 on a good day. So the height and the weight, if Werewolf gets a good hit or two, man, I feel like the other guy's done for. But you guys brought some good points that do make a lot of sense, just how the other guy's more smart, and he would more than likely be able to get himself in a position to where he wouldn't have to worry about getting hit because he's got the high ground.
I have the high ground, Anakin.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he's also like a what's it called, the biochemist and stuff like that. Yeah. So like, I mean, what if like he actually even made like a serum and then just completely cures him?
I mean, I think it was instance during when I was researching that werewolf like that it actually goes to Morbius for help. Like they actually team up at one point. So I mean, hey.
Yeah. All right, so let's get on to.
He would be like more rounded in fighting other like supernatural creatures because he did join the Midnight Suns too.
Yeah,
that's what they specialize in, which would give him like the education on how to like deal with creatures like those.
Anyway, so let's move on to the next topic.
I know, it really would.
So since we do have quite a bit to talk about, so like the thumbnail suggested, we're gonna. I mean, it's been covered to death at this point, more than likely, so we won't get too much into it. But we'll just kind of go ahead and share on our own opinions on what the Thor Love and Thunder teaser trailer breakdown is. Whether you thought it was fire or if it was dog shit. We'll start with you this time, Miss Cap. Or let me start off. Miss Cap, did you watch the trailer by any chance?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. What were your overall impressions?
Honestly, it kind of made me a little bit more excited about it. I probably am going in there completely blind, but I definitely cannot wait for how Thor grows even more from, when we last saw him in Endgame. And this teaser really shows that, like, he's going to go into a whole new journey. And honestly, that's pretty awesome.
All right. I'm glad. So your hype levels are closer to the fire side than the other side, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. So what about you, Mr. Joestar? What were your thoughts? Are you did it get you more hyped, or did it just kind of keep you at the same levels, or did it have the opposite effect?
Oh no, like I am definitely so hyped for this thing. Definitely, like a lot of stuff happened, and I just can't wait to see what they're gonna do, because you see like Thor, and he's basically kind of retired from being a superhero, and he's just trying to figure out who he is, like like Cap said. And it's so funny that they have him like losing his baby fat, you know what I'm saying? So he's just like sitting there working out, and I'm just like, ugh, motivation. I really got to get to that, definitely. Kind of shows a little bit of the reborn into something new. And for those people who haven't seen it, but I mean, you end up seeing kind of like Natalie Portman and stuff, and the hammer. And if you kind of look closely, though,
the mighty Thor,
the hammer's actually rebuilt. So it's like, I'm assuming it's the original Mjolnir just put back together.
I wonder how they're going to get it back together.
One of the last things that I was like super excited is like they're talking about other gods, and you end up seeing kind of like Zeus, holding the lightning bolt. So I just can't wait to see what they're going to do with that. And yeah, man, I can't wait. Super hyped. Oh, yes.
All right. Since I've talked extensively with Lucius about this, we'll save him for last. Well, technically me for last, but we'll have Mr. JT go up next. So what was your impressions and your hype levels after seeing this, JT?
So when I first watched the trailer, it was colorful. It's almost similar to like Thor Ragnarok, as colorful, and Taika Waititi does a great job in putting color, because like the first Thor movie was dull and the second was kind of dull too, but then like color kind of pop in this trailer. And I'm kind of mixed on this. I am want to see the dynamic between Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy in the first half of the movie, because on the trailer they left them. So I'm trying to figure out like how does the Guardians of the Galaxy plays a part in this movie in particular, and what kind of lessons do the Guardians give the Thor about losing, like losing that momentum of being a superhero and everything. So I'm looking forward to that. The gods are kind of intriguing me, and of course, like bringing Natalie Portman back as Jane Thor is going to be intriguing as well. So I'm right in the middle. I don't know. Ragnarok was a great movie to me, but I'm going to see it blind as well, but I think it's going to be a great movie. But I'm still trying to decipher how would the relationship between him and the Guardians be throughout all this movie, either the first half or maybe the second half of the film.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. What about you, Slucius? So, how do you feel about it after watching that? Did it get you any more excited or less excited? Why don't you tell people what you thought?
You know how I already think about this piece of shit.
Well,
Okay.
I think it's straight up Dookie, all over the board here. I think it's just like it's Marvel's intrusive humor, just ruining everything again, just once again. And you guys are drinking the Kool-Aid on this because I see right through that. It's like it's just trying to be like Flash Gordon. Why is Thor like the comedic like side of this? It's like every movie has to be like super funny. Why? And it's not. It's not funny.
I have a reason for that. It's because the first Thor was boring, and the second Thor movie was boring. And Thor has a unique personality. I should see in What If. He has like some flamboyance to him. So Taika Waititi took that and he made it his own, and I think it's better for it when like
Nah,
Thor
I'm actually
becomes this
with
weird,
Lucius
funny,
on this one.
nonchalant type of guy.
Because
You know?
the first Thor,
Here's the thing: the dude was pretty god tier in Infinity War. Like he was pretty much like the Aragorn.
yeah,
the
but
king.
like I feel like
And then
Infinity
we
War
just lose touch.
I feel like
with that.
Infinity War was his peak because his first movie, while not perfect, people actually need to go rewatch that. It's actually pretty well done. It's directed well. It's got not the best humor and not the most exciting, but it was a well-crafted movie.
The first Thor. I like the first.
Second
Thor.
one was dog
I still
shit.
think it's cool. Like,
Third one,
Yeah,
I feel like all characterization that he had prior was just thrown out the window in terms or in exchange for making him more casual friendly, which I wasn't too fond of. Which leads to my opinion. Honestly, I was not super excited about this before, and then I saw the trailer was up. I checked it out.
What the fuck is that?
And I got like fucking diarrheas from it. But it honestly, I wouldn't say it 100% killed my hype because there were some elements that seemed kind of interesting. But overall, I wasn't too excited for it, just mainly because what's it called? It just looked like an SNL skit to me.
It really does.
It like Zeus's lightning bolt looks like something you would get.
It's a Norse god. It
yeah,
should
but
not be approached.
the
like that,
Zeus's
like-
lightning bolt looks like something you would find in the pool section of the dollar store, like one of those floaters for the pool. And it's just like when you got someone like Gore the God Butcher, yeah, you could have the normal Marvel humor, but it looks like this one's like taking a serious concept, something that's in Jason Aaron's run was pretty epic, and they're just like kind of making it a complete joke. Which again, it could work, because there's some aspects like the Mighty Thor. That part I actually thought she looked spot on, and she looks really cool. I'm really interested to see what they do with her. But right now, it kind of killed my hype, and I don't know if I'm gonna go day one to watch this. I'll probably watch it similar to Morbius when I get a chance.
Also, like,
So it's a dog shit from me.
So everyone like still laughs at Thor because like he's like the new funny guy now, right? Like that's the new jokey character. Here's the thing. So in Endgame, everyone laughs at him because like he's fat and he's suppressed. So it's okay. So it's okay to laugh at someone who's like depressed and just drinking a whole lot, and after losing all of his friends, thinking that it was his fault. Like, so that's funny. I'm just saying,
Yeah, so I'm not too hyped on it. I'm glad you guys are the ones that you are. Definitely, if you like the previous one, Thor Ragnarok, which there was some aspects that I did like, but overall, I personally wasn't too hyped about that movie afterwards. I know the minority here, in the minority here on that opinion, but I could tell that if you did enjoy the director's type of comedy, this one seems kind of more up in that alley. But I'll try to remain a little bit optimistic. Like I said, I'll get around to it. I just, as of right now, I'm not. I don't see myself being in like a huge rush to do it.
Oh.
All right.
mean, honestly, I get that. I get the whole like he is, like a god. But the thing about it too, though, man, is just like I've seen way too many serious movies. They have like a little bit of humor in it, but I mean, I get it. He's the Shazam of the Marvel universe, or he's become that. So, and like I love Shazam. Like, I mean, he's supposed to be like a 10-year-old kid, but this is actually like a god and he acts like a 10-year-old kid, and that's totally cool with me. Or
Well,
he's like
yeah.
going through his teenage years,
I get that. I get that. Like I'm not expecting
so
no Northman, but what's it called? I wish it was more in line. Certain characters you could tell would be better off like other characters, like less Guardians for Thor, which that's another thing. I don't understand why Thor, his character does not revolve around the 80s, so what's up with all this 80s vibe? But anyways, I digress.
yeah.
I would feel like Thor would be more fitted with like the Captain America type of tone to it, where the Civil War, Winter Soldier, all that, they had a serious overall tone with some jokes here and there that weren't like slapstick, ha ha ha, look at this crazy, like Bazinga style character or whatever. It was more like, oh, that was kind of funny, but it still kept a little bit of a light tone to it, but it was serious overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like Thor would fit better that versus Guardians. Like, leave the humor, super funny stuff to like Spider-Man, Guardians, stuff like Miss Marvel. But well, actually segueing into another thing, some other characters just sometimes don't need it, like Moon Knight. But let's go ahead and get right into Moon Knight then, since we have already gone over Thor. So Moon Knight, last week we missed talking about episode 3. So we'll talk about that first before we dig into the nitty gritty of episode 4. Overall, episode 3, there's not much that actually goes down. We don't really find out a lot, other than in the very, very beginning when we have that actually kind of cool scene, I thought, when they kind of teased that third personality. And he had like, this time Mark was getting the blackout, so it felt like reverse of what Steven was feeling. Did you guys catch on to that third personality tease?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. Instantly.
Yeah, because he was like, why did you take over and kill these people? I don't know why Mark would think Steve would do that, because that seems so out of character for Steve, and Mark kind of already knows Steve. But other than that, it was just kind of like an filler, anticlimactic episode where they were just trying to get all the characters into the same location. And the only real highlight was the kind of weird decision, but I hope that they have a good plan for it, and it wasn't just like budget cuts, to take Khonshu away and essentially take Moon Knight out of the Moon Knight series. Did y'all have any thoughts on that, or did I miss something that you guys might have found should be important and talked about that happened throughout episode 3?
Yeah, I can talk about something. Towards at the end of the episode where like Steven and Layla was kind to figure out the stars and everything, Layla had kind of like a thing for Steven, as we going to see talk about in episode 4. But episode 3, I kind of felt that chemistry between Steven and Layla, and how like again, like in episodes 1 and 2, their love for literature and like ancient culture. So I think that as we go these last 2 episodes, that might be kind of something like at the end. So maybe Steven will have the body full term, so he can be with Layla maybe at the end of the show, or I don't know. But I think that's like the whole like will they won't they between Steven and Layla.
Yeah, it started a bit of a
Marcus'
love triangle.
and his history with Layla in terms of what happened and
Yeah,
everything.
it definitely opened up like this.
That'd be kind of interesting.
I guess you could say love triangle, if you could call it that, because it's the same dude. So I don't know. I don't know how that works,
love
but
triangle. They're the same.
Love triangle with
they're
yourself.
sharing the same body. Yeah. Two different personalities in the same.
I don't
body.
know. I don't know how to call that. Like metaphorical triangle, or who knows?
Yeah.
What about you, Miss
I think
Cap?
it's more like a rediscovery.
Could you imagine marriage counseling?
Hey, that's a good get out though. All Steve or Mark has to pretend is that it's another guy, and been like, well, I can't talk about that because it's Steve today. There's no Mark here, so I can't talk about what Mark was thinking that day. It's just like the ultimate cop out.
One thing I do have to say, about episode 3 is how if you really, when all the gods came at one time to have that meeting, and
that's
Mark
right.
was accusing Harrow of trying to release Amit, and one thing is kind of irritated me a little bit, but I know why they did it. It's that them showing Harrow telling the gods that Mark is a sick man, he doesn't even know who his real name was. And that kind of irritated me a little bit, but I understood why they did it, As with him, with his, his DID, it's he has two different people in him. He has one host, but then different personalities in that one host. And so it kind of irritate me that Harrow would use his, necessarily his illness to cause him to be weak and discredit him, even though that's not necessarily his fault. And it kind of irritated me a little bit, but I just
that just makes,
I understand why you did it, but it was
that makes Harrow even worse. But but you brought up a good point. I completely blocked that whole scene out of my head, because while the set and such was kind of cool and Oscar Isaac's performance was pretty neat, it was interesting. It did piss me off personally, because I was like, what the hell is this? These are freaking gods you're talking to, and the whole trial basically boiled down to, I accuse this person to doing this, and then the gods were like, well, Harrow, are you doing that? And Harrow's like, nah. And they're like, cool, case dismissed.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell? No one this is a pretty serious thing. Amit, obviously they went through the effort of putting all these restrictions and compasses and all that to try to keep her not awakened. And then when there's a potential guy wanting to open them, all they do is ask him, well, are you doing it like a toddler? And then when the toddler lies, they're like, okay, I guess our work here is done. Let's go. It just seemed off to me. It seemed like, I don't know what the writers were thinking there, but if they just wanted to move on to the next scene or what, but it felt really weird.
Just oh yeah, that's just crazy Khonshu talking again. Just forget him. Yeah, basically what they were saying.
Well,
basically.
Go ahead, Miss Cap.
I was talking to JT about this the other day. We were talking about how maybe the gods want this to happen. So it's a theory that the gods want Amit to be released. So they're
that
not
honestly would make more sense
they
than
need
what
concern,
happened.
But they don't want to interfere because they want it to happen.
Honestly, I would take that over what they gave us. It was kind of lazy writing if it does end up being that they don't want it to happen. But what about you, Mr. Joestar? Any opinions on episode 3?
Well, yeah, I will say on Cap, that I never really thought about that. Holy crap, that's really crazy. The whole conspiracy, with a bunch of stuff, you just throw that in there, and I'm just kind of thinking, you know what, that was kind of odd, because that was one of my biggest points, is that everybody was in the room, and they just kind of babied the whole thing. They just said, we don't. Did you do it? No. And they're like, okay, well, see you later, buddy. Keep being crazy over here. And it's just nobody believes him. But and it kind of gave me also another thing about kind of remind me of the Eternals a little bit, because here are these technically gods, and they don't really want to meddle in with like the human world. But then here's Khonshu, and he's like, no man, we still have to be with them, and we gotta guide them, I guess, in a sense. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, they don't really even believe in more because of that kind of stuff. So that's why I was kind of like, that's why they wouldn't really believe him, because he's just like one of the outsiders, one of the black sheep, the guy that's the outcast,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. That I could see that.
But and another thing is just like the whole, like, I had a cool fight scene, with the whole Anton, the pretty boy with his goons and stuff like that. Like, it was
cool. I will say, rest in peace.
I like the whole
actor.
Like, he came out with the suit and like he's just like, everybody chill the F out, Yeah. I just love that line because I was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to get stabbed either, dude. But then, it just kind of concludes with the whole thing about like Khonshu just being locked away. And I'm just like, seriously, dude, you were just introduced not too long ago, and now you're gone. So
yeah, not only that, but it took away the ability for him to put on the suit. And honestly, it is suffering a little bit from the Iron Fist thing, to where if he does activate the suit, it's only one scene per episode, and that's all you get. So them taking away the ability to completely do that is a little bit sus for me, but we'll see where they take it. Obviously, we have Mr. Gordon Ramsay here.
Shut it down!
Slucious was like that after episode 3. He was just like, shut it down! But why don't you tell us why episode 3 was kind of where, like, your reasoning and stuff like that is why this is the episode that kind of made you fall off the show?
For me, why hit a sore spot? Because like he's not in it anymore. The suit is not in it. There is no Moon Knight. It's just some like it's just crazy head personality show. That's what it is. There's no Moon Knight. Oh, nope, not here. Well, first off, I thought the fighting and that whole fight sequence in that third episode was just dookie. It's just horrible CGI. His hood does not move. It stays stagnant in one place, and there's no like clothes rippling physics in it or anything. It just stays there, and it looks really bad. Like, I'm sorry to be a stickler here. But it's just, I was like, no, this is Daredevil 2003. Like, I mean, we've evolved. We've evolved past this level of action. What is this? I don't know how.
I thought you liked that old school early 2000
cool.
action.
That's cool. You guys liked it. I was just saying, it's not really my cup of tea.
I mean, that scene for me wasn't that bad in the action. It was a little bit basic to a certain extent,
he was clipping in and out.
Yeah, but it makes it feel more like those 2000 Marvel movies that you like.
Yeah, but I like those in a good way because they're goofy and I can laugh and they don't take themselves seriously. This does take itself though. Seriously.
This one's goofy though. Oh man, my track isn't working.
All right.
Okay, that did work. All right.
What happened?
No. One of my things was for some reason just grayed itself out and wouldn't let me click on it. Anyway, so now that did you go, JT, by any chance? JT?
Yeah. What did you say?
I said, did you go by any chance? Did you already talk a little bit about episode 3, or did we skip you?
Yeah, I did. I talked about the love triangle.
Oh, that's right.
That's Mark and Layla.
Yeah, you were the first to go.
Yes, I was.
All right. So
I do love that, by the way, though. The love triangle.
It just gets better in the next episode.
I was gonna say. So I will say though, when they are turning back, like the stars and such like that, that was a very visually appealing scene. I did like that one.
Oh yeah.
Even if
Yeah,
the
that was really
results
The visual
of what
for that was amazing. I mean, I gotta give credit for that.
But yeah, so now we move on to episode 4, right where it picks up literally right after where we left off with him passing out, Khonshu being gone, and Layla's kind of having to pick up the slack since he's out cold, and these mercenaries come after them. But then after that, they go, and that's where that love triangle thingamabob that we were talking about comes into play, because her and Steve start kind of realizing even more that they have a lot in common, that they both care about each other, that Steve is all the good looks of Mark, but the personalities that Layla would get along with more. And how did y'all think they tackled that, like with the kissing and all that?
Dude, what a cheater. Oh my gosh.
I can't believe
Adulterer. No, I mean, if I could say something, like, honestly, it was kind of like funny because of the fact that, like, they have so much in common, and just the different personality of them has nothing in common, or I'm assuming that they don't have anything in common. It's just like ironically funny because it's like the same body. But
yeah.
I mean, the whole time was just so cool because, like, they get to kind of discover who they are a little bit more, who Steven is, and what Layla, is really interested in as well. And they're just kind of both, like, geeking out, going into this, like, cave and stuff like that, trying to see all these new things. And they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually watching this with my own eyes, But just completely turns into, like, the Mummy. Because I just keep on thinking that stuff because it's like those two people going into a cave, and then they end up seeing like the Book of the Dead and stuff, but then they actually end up seeing like just like a dead zombie mummy.
I was gonna mention that. I was gonna mention that to what's this, Lucius, because he loves those movies, and yeah, when it gets to that, it was actually kind of creepy. It gave me a lot of that, like, Brendan Fraser 2000s mummy movies vibe, like the design of the dude, the type of, like,
my absolute favorites.
Yeah, so if anything, this episode's worth watching because of that, and of course later on. But I did think that had, I mean, you saw like brain matter and blood on the table where the guy was sacrificing. Then. Like,
dude, yeah, he was being mummified. Yeah,
he was being mummified, and it was kind of creepy. It was
the worst thing to actually witness, because I mean, when a person gets mummified, is like, I mean, they take all your organs out, and the my favorite thing that they always say is like that little tool that they always shove up your nose, and then they just take all your organs through your nose and stuff. Your brain.
Yeah, that is what they did.
Yeah, it was pretty darn brutal.
Put in jars.
Even though they didn't show it completely, it still was kind of creepy. I do like the atmosphere that gave in, and similar to like those like B-movie horror slasher vibes too, when she's walking through the cave and that thing's coming after her, and then he just like pops out of the like pitch blackness and drags her into it.
Oh,
that gave me like old school like Dead Alive or not Dead Alive, Evil Dead type vibes, type of stuff going on.
Yeah.
No, but
I will say like towards the ending, like it kind of lost me a little bit, just because of the fact that like it, for some weird reason, I got a glimpse of for those people who have never watched it, like kind of the show Legion. I think it's still on Hulu.
Well, before that, before we get to the whole big thing, what happened after they meet that mummy? Oh, and then they have the talk. Like Layla and Harrow have that talk where he starts kind of planting more and more stuff into her head about her father. And what's it called? It leads to Mark and Layla having a confrontation. I mean, we got a decent amount of answers in this episode too, kind of in this way that she was talking to Steve, and he finds out that it's Alexander the Great was the last Avatar of Amit, and they found the actual little stone thing inside of his mouth. And then as soon as Layla asks him to talk to Mark, Mark just takes control, and you find out that he was somehow responsible for her father's death. So obviously that came of no surprise, but do you guys like the way they handled it, or did you guys think he was actually going to be the one who pulled the trigger? What were y'all's thoughts on that whole interaction between her and him?
I mean, I think for me personally, I thought that it was necessary because Mark, I think they were on the drive. I think it's episode 3 when they're in the car. Like Mark has so much secrets. He wants to tell her about everything, and then Hero put the idea in. Layla says that, hey, Mark has given up secrets. You have to confront him, and when they did, it blows all over. And it had to happen. I think it had to happen for Mark to become the man that he's supposed to be for Layla. I mean, Steven is already that man. First of all, first and foremost, but if Mark needs to step up his game. I think this was a great way to kind of put Mark as a human being for once. Like, hey, I made mistakes. I'm sorry. I will be much better from now point on. And then he'll just kill them. But I think I think it was just necessary for them to talk it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what got me out of this conversation before Harrow went in and shot him was, does this conversation technically mean that he has been Moon Knight for 10 years? And it's so, like, I know they said that he had, like, they alluded that he's been it for a while, but I thought since Steve was starting to come out and such like that, he got it more recently. But on episode 3, I think it was number 3, Layla mentions that she hasn't been back to Egypt, which sounds like is where she grew up, since her dad died and 10 years ago. And if Steve then in this conversation says that that day was the day he got shot and he was supposed to die, and if you bring it back to like the second episode, he says that Khonshu saved his life because he was supposed to die the day Khonshu saved him. And if that, like, connecting the whole web together and all that, that sounds like he's been Moon Knight for 10 years. So I don't know. And personally, he seems like he's a little bit sloppy for someone who's been doing this for 10 years. What do you guys think? No comment.
Who's going? I would say no.
You go,
comment.
Mr. Joe.
I mean, well, I mean, like, there's just like a lot of stuff going on, and to be honest, I was just kind of like, well, if Mark is probably trying to just tell his truth, but I mean, we don't really know what the heck happened. I mean, I don't know if even if Disney's gonna mix it up, because sometimes like directors like to do their own thing. That's cool, or producers. But that's why, like, I mean, it's just a little too early to just basically throw him in jail just to be like, yeah, dude, you're like a jerk because you ended up killing your dad when you have like nothing to go on. But I mean, he did promise her he didn't do it, so I wouldn't really seem like, he's probably hiding that. But now that he actually witnessed it, yeah, like, it happens.
Yeah, definitely. What's it called? But then, obviously, like you were saying, Mr. Joestar, so Steve gets shot twice by Harrow, and Harrow says, I cannot help those who aren't willing to help themselves. And he seems to die, it looks like. He goes into, like, the tunnel or the light at the end of the tunnel, and then you start seeing him be, like you say,
I feel like he's stuck in limbo. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just kind of went to like a limbo place.
Well, I'll let you guys go, and then I'll tell you what I think. But you say he's going to limbo?
Yeah. Like, I mean, when I saw that, it just kind of feels like he kind of went to like a limbo in his head. Like, he's still alive, but like, I mean, he's bleeding now. Maybe he's like in a weird coma or something. I don't know, but that's what it kind of gave me that feeling about Legion and stuff, because he ends up seeing himself, like his other side. So it's Steven and Mark like next to each other, and they're just kind of like, "Whoa, it's you, it's you, it's you! Oh my gosh, like, what's up, buddy?" But at the same time, they're kind of like, "Where the heck are we?" And it's all these rooms, which I'm just saying, like, maybe these are all doors inside of his head. So it just kind of goes into like, now basically he's gonna have to fight himself or try to figure out how to get out of there. So I'm actually kind of excited with that, because I do like, those whole mindsets where they just kind of give you like a brain fart, So
Yeah. No, it definitely is. What's it called? A lot of questioning. It almost has like a Shutter Island type of vibes.
yeah,
But it also
Wow.
over the weekend I decided to catch up on the Jeff Lemire run, and it actually seems to go pretty close to what that is. Other than it being kind of a different take in the sense that in the Lemire run he starts off at the mental hospital and then he goes out to the world where all this stuff is going on, and you don't know whether he is Moon Knight or he's just batshit crazy. Um, but I love the parallels between the Jeff Lemire run and this going on. But what about you, Mr. JT? I'll let you go before I let Miss Cap go on it. What were your thoughts of what was going on in your mind when this whole weird mental hospital like reality kicked in?
Yeah, I think for me, I think that it was all in his head. I think he's in his head. He's trying to figure out where he is. I don't think he's making stuff up. I get like all these people in the last few episodes are like in there, but I think it's all in his head. And I think when he escapes and we see Steven in the tomb, and then in the other room we see apparently Jake try to get out, and hopefully he'll get out sooner or later. I don't really know, but I think it's all in his head. I have to agree with Johnny Joestar. I think he is in limbo. I think he's bleeding now, and he's just trying to figure out what's going on and how to escape this alternate reality in his mind.
Okay. And anything from you, Miss Cap?
I gotta agree with Johnny Joestar and JT. Kind of in that limbo-ish area, and it's all in his head. Because one thing I know is because Mark and Steven are physically together instead of just like reflections of each other. They can physically touch each other, talk to each other, you know. So I think he's definitely in that mind space, especially with that like third sarcophagus that they're hinting at with that third altar,
Yep,
which
Jake
I'm pretty
Lockley
sure is
might
going
be
to come
behind
up
that.
pretty soon. Um, but I definitely think he's definitely in his head, and now he's just trying to pretty much piece himself back together, I think, and actually, confront some of the stuff that's going through his mind. And I think this is the next episode is going to be kind of unraveling that, how to become his, ultimate like true self, you know. So
Yeah.
I wholly agree with what you guys are saying.
See, my
do you feel
theory.
like?
Oh, go ahead, Mr.
Oh,
Joestar.
sorry. Do you feel like I was feeling like that we're actually getting maybe like the third entity, like from the, what's it called, the his personalities.
Yeah,
Because
Jake
like, I mean,
Lockley.
if they're both in there, like, what
Well,
are the odds
there was
that they'll
that
probably
there was
hit,
that
like
other
they'll meet that third
sarcophagus
one?
that was shaking around.
I think it's pretty highly likely. I mean, I think we've already hinted at it if you go back in like episode 3 when they were like, "Did you kill him?" And like, "No, I didn't kill him. How
Yeah.
can you be that violent?" And so we're like, "Oh,
Oh
there's
yeah.
that third altar there, who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, and then actually seeing that sarcophagus and actually like someone wanting to come out of it. It's like, hey, there's a third one here, but he doesn't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Like Mark is like, I'm not going to acknowledge it because I don't want to think that there's another personality in me. He's just going to ignore it until the last possible second. So that's what I was saying. Like he was going through this crisis where he finally becomes like this whole person where he embraces everything that's going in his mind.
Yeah. See, what you guys are saying kind of goes in line with what I'm saying, but I feel like when they're like have him pretend that he's crazy, or not pretend, but have us think that he's crazy, and this is like a
I lied
about the first half of the show, and then they're gonna do another like 180 and go once again tell us
I lied,
and it was all real. So my theory is similar to how it's gonna be maybe out there, but I don't know. I just have a gut feeling on this one. They might do another plot twist in the sense of, so the first time, I believe Khonshu was probably imprisoned before, because he makes it sound like he was banished and they were doing all this, and then Mark got shot by his partner and he was gonna die, and Khonshu kind of probably came out of his hiding or his imprisonment and saved him. So it makes me wonder if, since last we saw Mark before he gets shot and before he falls into the water and all this happens, he grabs the totem of Amit. So I'm wondering if, like what Khonshu did to him, Amit is kind of, since Khonshu has no powers right now. In the Lemire run and all the other ones, there's this place called the Outer Void, which is a place outside of space and time where the Egyptian gods and such like that could come and kind of do like one-on-ones and such with their avatars, and kind of so in the Lemire run, it's where Khonshu and Mark kind of plan things together and have pep talks and kind of see what they're going to do without the interference of the real world. So I wonder if Amit is kind of saving Mark in this case because she wants out, so she wants a body. And in doing so, she's sending him to this location that's kind of in his, or like she's able to access his mind and kind of make this world around him to try to confuse him, keep him in there locked up while she takes a hold of his body. And in doing so, he has to, so it is and isn't going on in his mind technically, because she's using godly powers to kind of save him while he's stuck in there. And my theory is that while she's taking control of his body, he's going to be fighting back in the way that he's going to be stuck in his mind trying to get out. And once he does achieve that, he could regain control of his body. But that's just my guess. Another thing is it is the fact that he has to come into terms with himself and his other personalities, because at the end, we obviously, like that screenshot right before then, the one that's on the screen, you get a Madagascar, DreamWorks, and Disney Plus collaboration, and you have Motomoto's girlfriend,
yeah,
or
special
ex,
guest Motomoto,
and you have Gloria from Madagascar just come in and be like,
"What the hell was that?"
bullshit.
Yeah, it was
what
a
I'm
little
saying.
bit
Like
wonky.
they think that this is funny. Like you could get like a cool Shutter Island like a psychological thriller, but no, let's just have Gloria.
I will say, Slucius, though, it was funny. It did work when Stephen Grant and Mark were screaming and such. That made me chuckle. They succeeded in making me laugh, but it was like a big like, what the hell? Like you had this weird, confusing, serious tone, and then you get pulled out of it with Madagascar characters thrown in there. It just what were y'all's reaction when you saw that? By the way, that hippo is the Egyptian god of I believe healing and rebirth. So that's why I'm saying that I think that
rebirth, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have similar to the Lamar run and such like that, to where he kind of frees himself by coming into terms with his personas, and he kind of just has one going on forward for a bit before they changed it back again. But I feel like this hippo goddess is gonna help him be reborn into a more stable, either Steven or Mark, or a combination of the two in the name. But it definitely, that was my opinion. But what were y'all's thoughts when you saw like the hippo and where this is going? Because that definitely shows that he really is batshit crazy, or there's something weird like Egyptian god powers going on. Go, Mr. Joestar.
Well, I mean, it kind of just, to me, it kind of just gotten into the whole more of the utopia thing, or not the utopia, like in limbo thing. Because like if he's like in a limbo, like in between death and being alive, like she's able to kind of go into his consciousness. Like maybe that's just like a thing that she could do. I don't know. But I thought it was just kind of funny. I mean, the whole hippo thing, I just was like, what in the world is this? And I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I already understood that she was one of the gods because I mean, she had the little dreadlocks, like the one of them, and all that pharaoh stuff, like the crown. So I was just kind of like unexpected, but at the same time, I'm just kind of curious on what's going to happen on the next episode.
Any input from you, JT?
Yeah, I think that this whole episode was tense. I think from start to finish, and I think that in order to kind of ease our way to the next episode, they had to do this. They had to because like as you guys were talking about theories and whatnot, and like a whole much tension this episode between like Mark and Steven trying to find a way out. I think that the hippo made us realize, okay, everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be great. She's the god of rebirth, and we just need to slow down, take a breath, and wait till the next episode. Because I think that this is for comedic humor. I think it had to, because if it ended, like in a dark place, then we'll be like, oh no, I feel so sorry for Mark and Steven and his other personality. But since it's ended on like a high note, then I have hope that eventually everything will come full around and he will be whole again. So, yeah.
I will say one thing about this episode that I actually really did enjoy overall, but my main gripe with it is it goes back to that whole talk we had, I think, on the first episode of this podcast, not of the Moon Knight thing. Back when I said that these Disney Plus shows seem to be 6 to 8 episodes to cut out the filler, but you still have stuff like episode 3, which is mainly filler with a few little things added here and there. And it makes me kind of wonder how they're going to tackle the next couple of episodes and not run into the Hawkeye situation where, yeah, the show was good. Consistently, every episode was kind of hitting it pretty good until it got to the last part. Then it felt really rushed on the last episode. And I'm wondering if Moon Knight's going to be more like that, since we only got 2 episodes left. So that means they have to, what's it called? They introduce this really trippy, is it real, is it not thing and they have to basically resolve it all within 1 episode or less, because then that just, if it takes a whole next episode, we're going to see them go through this, and then they only have 1 episode left to tell us really what the hell this show is about. Because up until this point, all we know is that Harrow is trying to release Amit, and that's about it. And so they're going to have one episode to try to make the stakes seem more higher than they are and all that. But they're gonna have to do that all in 1 episode, because episode 5 out of 6 or the 5th out of the 6th one is gonna be about dealing with what they presented to us in the last 10 minutes of this episode. Do you guys think they could pull it off, or do you think it's gonna be another situation where this whole 5th episode is this, and then the 6th episode is going to be running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, trying to wrap up the whole first season and maybe tease the second season? What do you think, Miss Cap? You there, Miss Cap?
Oh, sorry. You know, I have to have a little bit of hope. I have to feel like they are going to do something that's going to, turn this all around. Like what's the meaning of, why are we introduced to this character? Why is all of this happening to him? There has to be something. And I really hope they pull it off in the next 2 episodes.
Okay, but you do think that they'll be able to introduce Jake Lockley, get him out of this scenario, and do the final big thing all within like technically less than an hour and a half?
I have to think so. Okay. With all their other shows, I mean, I have to think that they have something in store for us that's going to change everything. And I just have to keep faith that it's going to happen.
What about you, Mr. Joestar? Do you think they'll be able to pull it off, or do you think it's going to be another kind of like rushed ending like some of these other Disney Plus series have been?
I mean, like, I would actually agree with that. Like, I mean, you don't really know what's going on, so these next 2 episodes, I mean, hopefully, like, a lot of stuff will be answered. But I kind of do get that fear of them actually rushing it. Like, if it's only the 2 left, yeah, like, well, so much information into like just a few minutes. Like, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna kind of go off with. So I really do hope they don't just really leave it at a really bad like cliffhanger, because like those just kind of like really annoy me. I just kind of like it to like each season have its own thing, kind of like going back to those ones from Netflix, like the Daredevil series, or there was the bad guy, they finished it at the end, and that was the season, and you're just like, okay, cool, that's the season to finish it off with. But if they just are just gonna continue it with like a second season after, like, yeah, it's just gonna kind of bug me, because there's just so much unanswered questions, and I don't know what their playbook is or what approach they're gonna go with, because now they're going into his mind, and that's just like a sub story, so how are they gonna get out of that? Who is this Hippo lady? Like, what are they gonna do with her abilities or whatever? And I don't know. I'm hoping for the best, but if it crashes and burns, well, then I mean, I already am subscribed to Disney Plus, so it doesn't really matter. They took my money.
What about you, JT? Do you think they'll pull it off?
Yes, I mean, I think what Takai was a humor show. I think that they had to, try loose ends, but I think Marvel knows better. I mean, they're like giants in the entertainment industry. Everybody's eyes on them. Everybody's going to pinpoint all the theories with Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. They have to pull it off. They have to pull it off. If they don't, I don't know, but
this has to work.
I think they will.
Because I don't know what we're gonna do.
I think they learned the lessons from all the other shows before, and I really think that they know how to close the deal, and I think they will in a weird but also tangible, concrete way.
All right. And before we move on to our next subject, I did want to bring up one last thing, because again, I just realized today that next week, it creeped up on me, next week is Doctor Strange and the finale to Moon Knight. So do you think that there might be a little, not direct, but coincidence and connections between the two, similar to how when Hawkeye had its last episode and it had Wilson Fisk from Daredevil show up, and then the next day No Way Home came out and it showed Daredevil himself in there. So you got two characters that are known being together, separated one day in between apart in their debuts in the MCU through two different projects. Do you think we're going to see anything like that in like characters show up on Moon Knight that kind of has either another character or a plot point, even if it's like a tiny, quick scene in Doctor Strange 2?
Never really thought about that, but that does make sense.
Yeah, it's because most of the thing, like JT says, Marvel has this on point. They know what they're doing basically the whole time. So it's something, I don't think it's coincidental that they moved Doctor Strange back to this particular date when it's after this, similar to how they moved Hawkeye around to when Spider-Man was coming out. So it makes me wonder. But anyways, moving on. So, of course, the last topic on our list that I do want to cover, courtesy of JT for coming up with this idea. I wanted to turn back the clock, similar to how Khonshu remembers every night. We'll remember a night back starting from 2008 and up until 2012. Yeah, the Avengers 2012. So we'll go ahead and each talk about our favorite Phase 1 movie and why it's so special to us. So we'll start with you this time, Mr. Joestar. What is your favorite Phase 1 movie?
Okay. Well, I will say, like, I mean, even from like that beginning part, because it's you got Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, you got Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, and then also the Avengers. If I could just choose one, it would necessarily be like Captain America. It's a tie between Captain America and the Avengers. Just for the fact that, like, I mean, Captain America, like, I mean, I kind of like, I'm a history buff a little bit. Like, I like that stuff.
I
You know,
thought I
it's
was going to be
set
alone.
1942, World War II. Basically, you know, he's relating to us as a weak person.
Okay, it's happening.
And, you know, he ends up becoming like a super soldier, and then he still has a heart of gold, you know? That's America's ass, you know, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
But I mean, I really wanted to see the Avengers or the Captain America because of the fact that, like, it is Chris Evans. Like, I've seen him, like, you know, in Fantastic Four, Not Another Teen Movie, like all these other, you know, funny
The
movies.
Losers.
And to actually see him like in a serious role was like, what? I don't really think that he would actually pull it off, but he did. He pulled it off so well, and I was just like, wow, I'm so surprised. But just to let you guys know, did you guys even know that he's actually going to be in the new Lightyear movie, the Buzz Lightyear?
Yeah, he's going to voice
He
I'm
is
us.
voicing
so
Buzz
excited for
Lightyear.
that. Yes.
Yeah, super excited. I was just like, this is going to be really cool. Because I don't know if he's also going to be like a serious role or if he's just going to be like, you know, goofy in it too. But yeah, I would say Captain America was my biggest thing. The Avengers, just for the fact that like they're all together, you know, just that hype, the beginning of the war.
Well, it's
but
like some big
mostly
new event.
Captain America.
Yeah, it was like a big
Yeah.
event that when it came to comic book movies, we never have seen really anything like that.
Yeah.
What about you, JT? Why don't you tell us your favorite Phase 1 movie and kind of tell us why it's like so near and dear to you?
Yeah, so it was a toss-up between the Avengers and the first Captain America, first Avenger. I was really going for the Avengers, but I watched Captain America on Sunday, and I, I mean, Miss Cap persuaded me to do it to see it again, and I enjoyed it because, for one, I finally understood why Captain America was worthy. I mean, with that whole movie of in training sacrificing himself on the big grenade with him rescuing over 400 soldiers in the Nazi. Because I mean, just this whole like persona of wanting to do more in the war than just putting on these shows in different places makes it work. And just to appreciate Chris Evans like persona as I mean he is Captain America. I didn't like just like you know Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark and Iron Man. Chris Evans is Captain America, and he did a fantastic job. I mean, the Avengers, like everybody's come together. You know, CGI was kind of and also in both movies because, like, 2008, like the technology wasn't there yet. But I have to give a slight credit to Captain America, the first Avenger, because as I look at it now, I get it why he was so worthy, in the later movies and how like he was a critical portion of what's to come down the future. So I have to give credit to Captain America, the first Avenger.
Okay, cool. Oh yeah, my mic is back on. Nice. What about you, Slucius? You still there, Slucius? All right, let's move on to you real quick, Miss Cat. Before we move on to, or before we go to Slucius, because it seems like he's not here.
Yeah. So funny thing, it was definitely a toss up between Captain America First Avenger and the Avengers. I love
We all have.
literally when you started saying that, I was like, yes, we all all of us are the same thing. But as much as I love Captain America the First Avenger, and I as well, I'm also a history buff, so anything that's set back in a way is I'm always interested in. And obviously I love Captain America, and just how Steve comes from this little guy to this big guy, but still keeping the same values he's always had is amazing. But I have to, for myself, I have to give it to the Avengers, only because it was the first movie, first MCU movie I got to see in theaters, and
Okay.
that was the one movie that got me into superheroes in general. Beforehand, I'll go with my brother JT, and he'd be talking about superheroes, and I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But it wasn't until I watched the Avengers and watched all of them come together, and I was like, whoa, superheroes are pretty cool. So honestly, it has a little special part in my heart, because it was the first time I was like, superheroes are pretty cool and I want to know more. And if if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be here, talking to you guys about all this. And so I have to give it to Avengers just for that speciality in my heart.
And I have to say one more thing though. In Iron Man 2, we do get the lovely Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. I think that was a plus in Phase 1 because she is agile
So
and she
hot.
was a credible addition to the MCU franchise overall. So I have to give credit to where credit is due. Like Iron Man 2, even though it kind of sucked with the villain, Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, man, I don't know what else I can say about that.
Yeah,
She's
definitely.
hot.
What was I gonna say? I'm actually surprised to 100% shocked to find out basically everyone was mentioning the first Avenger. I mean, I know I usually play the Riddler, going well that, but they need to make a they need a
What the
clip.
heck?
They need to play a clip where he's like, "Yes, that is how it's supposed to go." Cause damn.
Well, not for me because I like Iron Man.
Oh, okay. Welcome back, Lucia. So before I go, then I'll let you have the floor.
I like Iron Man 1. That's still my favorite Phase 1 Marvel movie. Not only because it's the one that started it all, and it just kind of solidified superhero movies like those, like it could work, And I know like Spider-Man and Batman were around during that time, but people really knew about those characters. Like those two were already so iconic. Iron Man, wasn't really really out there. There weren't any movies being made about him. He was just stuck in the comic book realm. But this is the first thing we actually got to see of him in live action, and it was so successful. And again, that's the one that started it all, and it just made movies like those work. It was the blueprint for
Yeah,
what was
definitely. It paved the way. Granted, it used some characteristics of others that came before it, like X-Men, Spider-Man, a little bit of that, but it definitely brought something fresh, and it most definitely paved the way to what we have today. In most of, not just in Marvel movies, and a lot of shared universe type of deal. It definitely some will hit it. Definitely not as hard as Marvel, but for every bad shared universe, there's a few good ones out there. But my favorite is hands down, not even a competition, Captain America: The First Avenger. Most people have the Avengers and they're 1 or 2. I actually had it in number 3, mainly because while it was really cool, it just didn't have that special place in my heart the same way, like Slucia said, Iron Man. Iron Man would have been it if I didn't just connect with Captain America. Iron Man was cool. It definitely introduced me. It came at a point where I just moved to Texas, so I had no friends or family over here other than my immediate family. And I've said it before, I convinced my mom to take me to go see Iron Man. And being a outsider geek, I was just in that theater. 11 or 12-year-old me was just in awe of how cool it was. I mean, there was this billionaire rich guy in a badass suit of armor just fighting for the little guy. And I thought that was cool and all, but then along came Cap. And Captain America, other than me just vibing with it, it was the fact that I could still watch it to this day, and it still holds up. It still feels the same as when I watched it back in 2011.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
the humor still still the right amount in my opinion. It had serious tones, but it wasn't afraid to look like a time period piece, and try to capture more World War II, but more lighthearted compared to these modern superhero vibes. But just I remember not getting to go day one, but I convinced when I went to go visit the place I was originally from, I convinced my uncle to go take me, and I just remember I was sitting there, and Cap just connected with me, even more so than Iron Man. It was just literally the guy trying to do the right thing. He is the little guy, but in his heart he's a big strong guy, and it just comes out and manifests itself. And I just remember just seeing him and really connecting, like seeing myself in Steve Rogers, or what I wish I could be, like just an honorable go for the little, or fight for the little guy type of guy. It just he definitely drew something out of me that inspired me, and it just, the rest is history. That just, he remained my favorite character up until his departure in Endgame, and I really hope that's not the end. Part of me thinks that if they bring him back, it will cheapen that ending, but I don't know, just something about seeing Chris Evans take up the mantle again, even if it is for a scene or two. I would just like take away that bias that I think that it would cheapen his ending, and just give me another scene with him, because he brought that character to life. He made him interesting and just overall cool. I mean, I'm willing to shell like $500 for one of those badass metal shields that weigh like 10 pounds. I don't have that type of money right now, but if I did, I would, in a heartbeat, I would buy it and hang it up in the living room floor on my house.
I have like the
prized possession
from Halloween.
Yeah, I have a kid one as well. I also have a backpack.
There you go. That's how you do it.
Yeah, no,
but can I say something though?
Yeah, definitely.
Like at around that time, like before Captain America, what was that? What was before Captain America?
Thor.
So yeah, okay, so yeah, it was like Captain America, and then it was the Avengers, right? Yeah. So that was another thing too, though, is because we've seen the comics. Like for those people that have actually read the comic books, like I mean, we knew the Avengers were coming, because that's what they were talking about in the previous movies, and like that was another thing that I was so excited about, is you get to see the leader, the leader who's going to basically be in charge of everything, of like these heroes. And that's what I was so excited for as well, because that's why I was like geeking out, because I was like, oh man, we're going to actually see Captain America. Like I'm so happy about that. And at the same time, like they actually, for those who actually played video games, they were still doing the movie games, which weren't so great.
Yeah.
But I will say,
the Captain America
one, the first Avenger, that was actually a really good, decent game, because you could just sit there with like your shield and you could just start bashing Nazis like left and right from like Hydra and stuff. So you're just like sitting there kicking the crap out of them, and you could switch out the suits. So, I mean, you can give them like the classic suit or like the military one, which I don't know why, but like I love the military version of it. And I just wish he kind of had like maybe little wings on his like little military hat, that little cap,
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah.
What about you, Slucius? I know you usually don't like the Captain America movies, but did you like the first Avenger at all, or still no go for you? Slucius?
Who?
Slucius. I guess he can't hear us again. Yeah, his audio, he did message me earlier.
It's just my audio.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, his audio was acting
It's
up.
really bad, yeah.
Did you hear the question, though?
What, did I like Captain America first?
Yeah, I know you don't like the... Oh, okay.
Of course I like Captain America, yeah.
I thought you hated him because he beat up on your boy.
No, I don't hate him. It's not like personally like my favorite. It's just like, but it is good. I mean, like I do like him.
Okay.
Oh no, he doesn't love America's ass.
Yeah,
No.
I don't love America's ass.
He's anti-America. But anyway, so
I like Hulk. You know what? I like the Incredible Hulk.
Hey, the Incredible Hulk was not while it was not like the most amazing movie. It does have some fun to it. And it has a pretty cool final fight. I will say that the final fight with Abomination.
And it's Hulk the way he's supposed to be before he was bastardized. So.
Well, I mean, he was not super bastardized in Avengers, but he definitely, that was his like peak monstrous.
No, that was his moment. Yeah, that was his moment right there.
But yeah, no, I think we got a good amount of talk about this from everyone. Definitely was a fantastic stream. I think this is a good spot to call it an end. So we'll go in up reverse order right now. So thank you for coming, JT. Of course, it was a pleasure to have you, Slucius. Glad to hear what your input, Miss Cap. And thank you for being able to join us, Mr. Joe Star. Anything else y'all want to say right before we cut this off?
Yes, I have to say one thing. The Avengers, actually, I made a Marvel list, and the Avengers is my top 15. But you have to give credit where credit's due. Captain America kind of stole me after watching the second time. The first time I was like, yeah, but I think it's after I knowing how much I know now, then watching the first Captain America made me appreciate his overall character arc and how he kind of grew into the man led the Avengers down the road. So have to give credit where credit's due.
All right. So before we go, I will say thank you to the listeners out there who joined us in today's episode, and for the ones who maybe will catch it on the replay once this is over. But definitely, if you haven't already, hit that like button, or if you really enjoyed what we had to say and are interested to hear more, we would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. And definitely want to join us next week because we'll cover the second to last episode of Moon Knight. But I do want us to go ahead and have a conversation since it is the last week. Obviously, we're not going to spoil it for ourselves because I'm going to go offline basically for the next week. But I do want to do a last like speculation of what we think is going to happen in Doctor Strange, like our hopes and wishes list, or like are really out there. If you want to get crazy, Slucius, or something like really out there, what we expect to be in the movie or what we hope would be there. And I think that would be a lot of fun. And then we'll come back to how accurate we were, or how far off we were once the movie comes out. But until then, once again, everyone, thanks for showing up. And like always, y'all have a wonderful week. Excelsior.
You know how much I sacrificed?